Five. We're here with your fastest, most focused synthesis of what's truly new in artificial intelligence.
That's right.
We've zeroed in exclusively on the key updates, the research, the product drops, the policy moves, all published on one single day, Sunday, November 9th, 2025.
And November 9th was, well, it was a surprisingly dense day. You saw these two big themes running in parallel.
Okay.
On the one hand, you had this relentless push forward, a really intense global infrastructure race, some surprising generative AI work focusing on control.
Right.
But on the other hand, you felt the friction points, global policies starting to get, actual teeth becoming mandatory, and these warnings from AI pioneers getting louder.
So our mission today is to cut through all that noise to deliver the essential insights.
Exactly.
Let's start right at the foundation. Research, models, benchmarks. We saw NVIDIA Research making strides in generative model control, specifically spatial control.
Yeah, this is really clever stuff from NVIDIA. It's about prompt fidelity, making the AI actually put things where you ask.
Like the classic glue dog behind the red truck problem.
Precisely that. It's a common frustration. So they introduced this method, learn to steer.
Okay, learn to steer. And the trick is doing it without retraining the whole massive model.
That's the key. They built this small, almost like a real-time guidance system. It trains a lightweight classifier using something called cross-attention maps.
Cross-attention maps.
Yeah.
Like the model's internal GPS for concepts?
Kind of, yeah. It shows where the model is looking when it links dog or truck or blue to a place in the image. This little classifier uses that map to create a custom loss function on the fly.
A loss function. So like real-time instructions during generation.
Exactly. It optimizes the output during inference. No massive retraining needed.
And the impact, was it measurable?
Oh, yeah. Big time. Inference time optimization is the headline. Massive cost savings potential there. But the results were stark. On benchmarks for object positioning, spatial accuracy, they took models like FLUX.1 dev from 0.20 up to 0.61.
Wow, that's a huge jump, more than triple.
It really is.
Yeah.
That's reliability that makes commercial use much more viable.
Okay, so that helps quality. What about the cost of generating AI itself? There was new theoretical work on ArcSIF looking at flow matching.
Right, flow matching. This paper dug into the mathematical foundations, comparing these approaches to the dominant diffusion models everyone uses, specifically looking at training efficiency.
And the math seems to confirm something big for the economics of AI.
It does. It basically proves flow matching can achieve the same statistical convergence as diffusion models, meaning same quality output, roughly speaking.
But cheaper.
Potentially much cheaper. The implication for labs scaling up is huge, maybe 30 to 40% reduction in training costs.
30 to 40%.
Yeah, while keeping that quality high, that's the kind of breakthrough that could really shift how models are built.
Okay, shifting regions now. China's StepFun AI, they open-sourced a new audio model.
Yes, Step Audio Edit X. It's a 3 billion parameter audio LLM. And it's specifically for expressive, iterative speech editing. Think fine-tuning emotion, tone, that sort of thing.
So less fiddling with audio software, more just telling the AI what you want, like editing text.
That's the idea. It treats audio like discrete tokens, similar to how a text LLM handles words, so you can give it natural language instructions.
Like make that line sound more confused.
Exactly. Say that again, but with a tone of, confused excitement. And it adjusts characteristics like emotion or pitch. They also released a new benchmark, Step Audio Edit Test, to go with it.
Okay, so if researchers are finding new math, new architectures,
Yeah.
how are companies actually packaging these things for users? Let's pivot to product and feature launches. Adobe Firefly got positioned as this unified generative AI platform.
Right. Adobe's definitely playing the integrator here. Firefly isn't just their models. It's pitched as this comprehensive creative suite, pulling in models from third parties too, like OpenAI, Google.
Into one workflow.
Yeah, into a cohesive single workflow, trying to smooth out that creative process.
Addressing that friction where you're constantly jumping between different tools for text, image, video, audio.
Exactly. Lowering the barrier to making multimodal content, they've organized it into 4 buckets. Ideation, generation, that's your text to speech, image to video, then production, like captions, upscaling, and finally, quick actions.
All designed for seamless creation. Okay. Now, over in China, Ant Group made a huge strategic move related to its AI health assistant.
A really big move. They announced this major reorganization. They elevated their digital healthcare division, the Health Business Group, to the same strategic level as Alipay.
Wow, same level as Alipay. That's huge. That must be driven by their AI assistant, AQ, right?
Absolutely. It's a massive vote of confidence, clearly driven by AQ's success.
And the user numbers must back that up.
They do. It really signals major private sector belief in AI health services over there. AQ's adoption was incredibly fast. It passed 10 million monthly active users MAU in just 5 months.
10 million MAU in 5 months. That's phenomenal growth.
It launched in June 2025, so yeah, incredibly rapid uptake.
But here's the question, right?
Hmm.
Is that sustainable? How much trust do users really have in AI for health advice, especially early on? Could it just be novelty?
That is the critical question. The fast adoption suggests it's hitting some initial need, maybe basic info, triage, symptom checking, but keeping those 10 million users engaged, that means delivering reliable, accurate, useful advice over time.
So Ant Group is betting big that they're already clearing that trust hurdle in China.
It's a massive financial bet on exactly that.
Okay, and one more in this segment. Elon Musk was showing off Grok's multimodal video generation on X.
Yeah, he posted an AI-generated video made with xAI's Grok Imagine tool. Yeah. Just a social media demo, really.
Showing off the capability.
Right, showing it can create complex, attention-grabbing video content pretty quickly. There was one bit with an actress and an AI-generated voice saying something memorable.
You are so cringe, I think.
That was it. But the reaction seemed, mixed, didn't it, about the authenticity?
Yeah, it seemed to touch a nerve.
Exactly. It showed the raw capability. Yes, generating high-fidelity multimodal video is a milestone.
Right.
But it also highlighted just how sensitive audiences are to AI-generated personas, deepfakes, authenticity issues. That friction is still very real.
Okay, let's shift gears to the engine driving all this, chips and infrastructure. This is where that global competition really heats up, starting with the US and Taiwan, that critical supply chain link.
Yeah, the big headline was the pressure NVIDIA is putting on TSMC. Jensen Huang reportedly asked TSMC to significantly boost its 3-nanometer wafer production.
For Blackwell and the upcoming Rubin chip.
Exactly, accommodating that surging demand. It just shows how much strain that leading-edge manufacturing is under. NVIDIA's appetite is just voracious.
It really highlights the bottleneck. What was TSMC's response?
Well, it's the ultimate high-stakes negotiation, right?
Yeah.
But TSMC agreed to expand. They're boosting 3-nanometer capacity from 100,000 wafers per month up to 160,000.
160,000?
Yeah.
That's a 60% jump.
Huge increase. It underlines the strategic importance of these foundries and just how much exponential demand AI keeps creating. This is the real arms race, physically making the silicon.
And that focus on hardware isn't just NVIDIA. The cloud providers are right there too. Google announced its next-gen TPU.
Right. Google's 7th-generation tensor processing unit, codenamed Ironwood. It's set to become available to Google Cloud customers soon.
And their framing was interesting. The age of inference.
Yeah, they're framing it as preparation for inference at massive scale, shifting focus a bit from just raw training power to efficient deployment.
So what does Ironwood actually deliver for customers deploying models?
It's engineered for that deployment speed and efficiency. They're claiming a 10x peak performance improvement, and maybe more importantly, over 4x better performance per chip compared to the last gen.
That efficiency boost is crucial for high-volume users.
Absolutely. Especially the big AI labs running inference constantly.
Meanwhile, China is making its own major infrastructure commitments. Alibaba.
Yeah, Alibaba's CEO Eddie Wu announced they're significantly increasing investment in their global super AI cloud infrastructure, even exceeding what they'd originally planned over the next few years.
Sounds like a clear signal about global capacity ambitions.
It absolutely is. A strong signal of China's intensified ambition in the whole AGI-AC race, positioning Alibaba as a key infrastructure provider. The commitment's over 38 billion yuan, about 5.3 billion US dollars.
Securing that domestic and regional capacity.
Definitely.
And connecting that infrastructure investment to maybe the future of work. JD.com's chairman, Liu Changdong, made a really provocative prediction.
He did, yeah. At the World Internet Conference, he predicted that long-term AI-powered robotic delivery could automate logistics so much
that some people might only need to work 1 day a week.
1 day a week. That's the prediction.
That's the kind of society-level speculation that really grabs you. It shifts the conversation from just productivity to fundamental changes in labor.
It certainly frames JD.com's automation strategy as more than just efficiency. It's about potentially reimagining work itself based on their massive logistics operations.
Okay, so the race speeds up, the predictions get wilder, which naturally brings us to the need for governance. Let's talk policy, governance, and safety. The EU seems to be setting a standard here.
Definitely. The European Commission's AI office launched this mandatory code of practice specifically for foundation models operating in the EU.
And why is this such a big deal globally, even for companies based elsewhere?
Because it's the world's first binding regulatory framework for these general-purpose AI systems, the big foundation models,
Binding.
meaning mandatory. It sets requirements for things like content provenance, where did the training data come from, and risk assessment, particularly for models over 10 billion parameters.
So if you want to operate in the EU market,
You have to comply. Doesn't matter where you're headquartered. It effectively becomes a de facto global standard because the EU market is so large.
right? Okay. And on the safety side, we had AI pioneer Yoshua Bengio making a strong statement.
Yeah, Bengio, one of the godfathers of deep learning, he co-signed an open letter calling for a moratorium on developing superintelligence,
A moratorium unless.
unless it's proven safe, controllable, and democratically governed.
What's striking is these warnings aren't just coming from outside critics anymore. They're from the architects themselves.
Exactly. Bengio's warning carries weight. It highlights deep concerns about misalignment risks right from within the scientific community, trying to push global policy towards safety before things get out of hand, suggesting the current pace might be, well, reckless.
Okay. Other policy news. The Wuzhen Summit in China wrapped up, and there was a focus on patents.
Right. The World Internet Conference urged international cooperation on governance, but the reports coming out of it really emphasized China's patent holdings,
What was the number?
claiming approximately 60% of the world's AI patents.
60%.
Yeah. It's presented as a clear metric of their long-term strategy to, dominate the global AI landscape and shape future norms.
And turning to security risks, Microsoft disclosed a privacy vulnerability.
Whisper leak. Yeah, Whisper leak. It's a clever, slightly scary side channel attack. It affects AI chatbots even when the chat is encrypted.
So encryption isn't enough. How does it work?
It doesn't break the encryption itself. Instead, it analyzes the metadata of the encrypted packets specifically, their size and timing.
So you can tell what's being discussed just by how much data is flowing back and forth.
Pretty much, a short question gets a small packet. A long, complex AI answer gets a much bigger packet. By analyzing these patterns, the researchers could infer the conversation topic with over 98% accuracy.
Wow.
It's a fundamental demonstration that encryption alone isn't a privacy silver bullet for AI.
Is there a fix?
Thankfully, yes. Major providers are implementing fixes, mostly involving adding random padding to the data streams, basically making all the data packets look the same size to mask the complexity of the actual content.
Okay, interesting. Let's look finally at adoption funding and incidents. There was an enterprise AI adoption report that flagged some friction, internal division.
Yeah, a new report found that even though optimism about AI is super high among executives,
Right.
0.42% of C-suite leaders say the actual process of adopting generative AI is causing significant internal division within their companies.
42%.
Yeah.
That's quite high. Is it just about the tech, or is it fear of change, job displacement?
That seems to be the crux of it. It's organizational change anxiety. The report really stressed that success isn't just about plugging in new tech. It needs a formal people-first strategy.
And do they have data on that? Strategy versus no strategy.
They did. Companies with a defined AI strategy reported an 80% success rate in adoption,
80%.
compared to only 37% for companies trying to wing it without a formal plan. Structure, communication, they're clearly key to managing that internal friction.
Okay, structure is key. Now for a really interesting social impact story. AI-powered NIMBYism in the UK.
NIMBYism, not in my backyard. Yeah, this tool called Objector. It uses generative AI. You feed it a housing development application, and it automatically generates formal objection letters, planning meeting speeches, even videos for users for 45 veils.
Wow. So it basically weaponizes local opposition by making it incredibly easy to object formally.
That's exactly the concern. Experts are warning it could supercharge NIMBYism, potentially stalling needed housing and infrastructure projects.
And raises questions about due process too, right? What if the AI hallucinates reasons for objection or just floods the system?
Big questions. Mass-produced, low-effort objections, potentially gumming up the works. It's a fascinating, maybe troubling application.
Definitely. We also saw some major AI cheating scandals hitting universities,
Yeah.
the US and South Korea.
Yeah, large-scale incidents. In the U.S., reports of students using Google Lens's AI visual search during tests. Point the phone, get the answer instantly.
Oh, wow.
And at Yonsei University in South Korea, around 190 students admitted using tools like ChatGPT on an online midterm exam.
190 students. That's a huge number.
Yeah.
It really highlights this crisis in academic integrity universities are facing.
They're scrambling. These tools have just raced ahead of guidelines. That U.S. district temporarily pulled the AI tool from school devices. And the Yonsei professor set the cheaters' scores to 0, sending a strong message.
Yeah, serious consequences. Okay, let's wrap this segment with a big partnership deal tying back to the infrastructure race, AMD and OpenAI.
Right. AMD and OpenAI formalized a strategic deal. AMD will supply its next-gen Instinct MI450 chips to OpenAI.
That's a major win for AMD, and maybe for supply chain diversity, too.
Absolutely. It gives OpenAI a large-scale alternative to NVIDIA GPUs, securing big volumes of AMD's upcoming accelerators. They mentioned a 6-gigawatt deployment starting in 2026.
It's gigawatts.
It just reinforces that the hyperscalers, the biggest compute users, are actively trying to avoid being locked into a single vendor, creating competition.
Okay, so pulling it all together, it feels like November 9th was really defined by these competing national ambitions pushing infrastructure forward while governance finally starts to bite back.
That's a good synthesis, yeah. You had China emphasizing IP dominance, that 60% patent figure, and doubling down on infrastructure with Alibaba. The U.S. side reinforced hardware leadership, NVIDIA securing those massive wafer orders from TSMC. But then the EU steps in with the first binding regulations.
So the race accelerates, but the safety and policy breaks are maybe finally being engineered alongside it.
Starting to be, yes.
All right, for you, our listener, looking for tools or tutorials you can actually use today, we've got 2 takeaways from today's updates. First, the German AI Safety Institute protocols from DFKI.
Yeah, they updated their testing protocols, really relevant if you're deploying AI in an enterprise setting. They added 17 new test cases specifically for multimodal systems that interact with the physical world.
So crucial for AI and manufacturing, logistics, robotics.
Exactly, testing those physical interactions.
And second, just reinforcing that data point on AI adoption strategy. Remember the difference it makes.
Right. Companies with that formal people-first strategy, 80% success rate. Those without, only 37%.
That 80% number really tells the story. Planning is critical.
Exponentially more important than just the tech itself, it seems.
Okay, let's wrap with our numbers of the day, highlighting the scale we've been talking about.
Number 1, 60%. That's China's claimed share of global AI patents.
Right.
A stark number underlining that long-term strategy for IP dominance and shaping global standards.
And the second number?
160,000. That's the new monthly target for 3-nanometer wafer capacity TSMC committed to, up from 100,000 before. Just illustrates that relentless exponential demand for cutting-edge AI chips from companies like NVIDIA.
That demand is just incredible. Finally, we always like to leave you with a provocative thought, something to chew on. Building on that Ant Group healthcare story.
Yeah.
Peking University experts suggested AI is shifting healthcare from just treating illness when it happens to managing your entire life cycle continuously. So, if AI monitoring becomes constant, lifelong, what new ethical questions pop up? When your health data isn't just for fixing problems, but for continuous, lifelong wellness optimization, what are the regulatory challenges there?
Continuous monitoring versus episodic treatment. That definitely opens up a whole new can of worms.
Something to mull over until our next deep dive.